The unexpected welcome commander Vexkai stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Voidrender, watching the blue marble of Earth grow larger through the reinforced viewing ports. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he surveyed his fleet of 200 warships spread across the system like a deadly constellation. Each vessel bristled with weapons capable of cracking countenance and shields that could withstand the fury of stars. This was conquest number 90. In his 2 centuries of military service, Vexkai had perfected the art of planetary subjugation. The pattern never changed. Arrive with overwhelming force. Demand immediate surrender. Accept submission. Integrate the new world into the Crithian dominion. Simple, efficient, effective. His tactical officer, Subcommander Cortith, approached, with a datapad clutched in his 6-fingered hands. Sir, we have completed our scans of the human homeworld. Population approximately 8 billion. Technology level is primitive, but not entirely backward. They possess basic spaceflight and orbital installations. Vexkai nodded, his mandibles clicking with approval. Excellent. Have they detected our arrival? Yes, Commander. Their sensor networks picked us up the moment we dropped out of hyperspace. They should be in full panic mode by now. Good. Open a channel to their leadership. Standard conquest protocol. The communications array hummed to life, and within moments, Vexkai's image was being broadcast to every human government on the planet. He had delivered this speech 89 times before, and the words came as naturally as breathing. Primitive inhabitants of the 3rd planet, I am Commander Vexkai of the Crithian Dominion. Your world is now under our authority. You have 1 standard hour to prepare for unconditional surrender or face the consequences of resistance. Comply, and your species will be granted worker status within our empire. Resist, and be destroyed. He cut the transmission and settled, back into his command throne, expecting the usual response. Sometimes there was immediate capitulation, sometimes desperate attempts at negotiation, occasionally foolish military action that would be quickly crushed. But the humans did something that had never happened in Vexkai's long military career. Nothing for 30 minutes. There was complete silence from Earth. No panicked transmissions. No surrender offers. No pathetic attempts at negotiation. Just ... Quiet then. Exactly 31 minutes after his conquest demand, the humans responded. But it wasn't their government or military that contacted him. It was a single human female, speaking from what appeared to be a garden filled with colorful flowers. Greetings, Commander Vexkai, she said with a brilliant smile that seemed to light up the entire transmission. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez. And on behalf of all humanity, I want to welcome you to our solar system. We are absolutely thrilled that you've chosen to make contact with us. Vexkai blinked all 4 eyes in confusion. Thrilled. Had his translator malfunctioned? The human continued, her enthusiasm never wavering. We know this must be a momentous occasion for both our species, so we've prepared something special. We'd like to invite you and your fleet to Earth's first annual Interstellar Contact Festival. We've been planning it for months, and the timing couldn't be more perfect. First annual. Vexkai started, then stopped. What is a festival? Oh, it's wonderful. A celebration of meeting, learning, and friendship. We have music, art, food, games, cultural exchanges, and so much more. We've prepared special accommodations for your fleet in our orbital regions, with full environmental support and docking facilities. Subcommander Cortith leaned over to whisper, Sir, I believe she is inviting us to some sort of social gathering. That's Impossible, Vexkai muttered. They can't be having a party. I just threatened to destroy their planet. Ambassador Rodriguez was still talking, her words flowing like a cheerful river. We understand that first contact can be overwhelming, so we've assembled teams of xenobiologists, linguists, cultural experts, and our very best chefs to make sure everyone feels welcome. We have guest quarters ready on Lunar Station, our moon. Base, complete with gravity adjusters and atmospheric controls for your comfort. The transmission included detailed technical specifications for docking procedures, environmental requirements, and what appeared to be a schedule of festivities. At the bottom of the data packet was an image that Vexkai's computer identified as confetti and balloons. Is she serious? Cortith asked, staring at the screen. Run a deep scan, Vexkai ordered. Check for hidden weapons, defense platforms, military buildups. This has to be some kind of trap. For the next hour, his science teams worked frantically, scanning every inch of Earth's orbital space and surface. When they finished, their report was more confusing than reassuring. Sir, his chief science officer reported, there are no significant military preparations, no hidden weapons, no defense fleets moving to intercept us, but, ... double quotes. He paused, looking uncertain. But what? There are decorations, sir, lots of them. Orbital platforms have been covered with what appear to be welcome. Banners in hundreds of different languages, including ours. There are light displays spelling out "Welcome to Earth" in formations visible from space. And sir, they've positioned their entire recreational fleet around our projected approach vectors. Recreational fleet, pleasure craft, sir, yachts, tour ships, party boats, all broadcasting music and displaying lights. It appears they're preparing for some kind of celebration. Vexkai stared at his screens in complete bewilderment. In 18-9 conquests, he had never encountered anything remotely like this. Species either fought or surrendered. They didn't. Throw parties. Another transmission arrived from Ambassador Rodriguez. This time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood dozens of humans of different ages, colors, and clothing styles. They were all smiling and holding signs that read "Welcome Crithians" and "Peace through Friendship." Commander, I hope you've had time to review our invitation, Rodriguez said. We've been working around the clock to make sure everything is perfect for your arrival. Our culinary teams have analyzed your species, dietary requirements, and prepared a feast that should be both nutritious and delicious for your people. She gestured to someone off screen, and a large table was wheeled into view, laden with foods that actually looked appealing to Crithian palates. We've also prepared cultural presentations showcasing human art, music, literature, and scientific achievements. We thought you might enjoy learning about our various civilizations and traditions. And of course, we're eager to learn about yours. The human paused, her expression becoming slightly more serious, but no less warm. Commander, I know this might seem unusual to you. Most species probably respond to your arrival with fear or aggression. But humans have been dreaming of this moment for centuries. The chance to meet another intelligent species, to learn from each other, to expand our understanding of the universe. We see this not as a conquest or a threat, but as an incredible opportunity. Her smile returned, brighter than ever. So please, accept our invitation. Come to our festival. Let's celebrate this historic moment together. What do you say? Vexkai found himself at a complete loss for words. In 2 centuries of military service, no one had ever asked him what he said about anything other than surrender terms. He looked Around his bridge, at his equally confused officers. "Sir," Cortith ventured carefully, "what are your orders?" For the first time in his career, Commander Vexguy had absolutely no idea what to do next. The humans had somehow turned his conquest into an invitation to a party. They were treating his war fleet like honored guests instead of dangerous invaders. And strangest of all, he found himself actually curious about what this festival would be like. "Prepare a shuttle," he heard himself saying. "I'm going down there, sir." Cortith looked alarmed. Is that wise? This could be an elaborate trap. Vexguy studied the transmission, showing dozens of smiling humans holding welcome signs. If this was a trap, it was unlike any he had ever seen, maybe. But in 89 conquests, I've never encountered anything like this. I need to understand what these humans are really up to. 3 hours later, Commander Vexguy found himself in the most surreal situation of his military career. He was sitting in a shuttle approaching Earth's moon, escorted not by interceptor craft or defense platforms, but by a parade of human pleasure. Vessels playing what his translator identified as festive music. Lunar Station came into view, and Vexguy nearly fell out of his seat. The massive space facility had been decorated with millions of lights forming welcoming messages in Crithian script. Colorful banners floated in the vacuum, held in place by tiny maneuvering thrusters. And everywhere he looked, humans were waving. From observation decks, holding signs, and apparently celebrating as his shuttle approached the docking bay. Vexguy saw Ambassador Rodriguez waiting with a delegation of humans, all dressed in what appeared to be their finest clothing. Behind them, a large crowd had gathered, and they began applauding as his shuttle touched down. The airlock opened, and Vexguy stepped out to find himself facing not weapons or interrogators, but a receiving line of smiling humans holding flowers and small gifts. Commander Vexguy, Ambassador Rodriguez, stepped forward with a bouquet of earth flowers and what appeared to be a ceremonial key made of gold. "Welcome to Lunar Station. We are so honored to have you here. This is a historic moment for both our species." Vexguy accepted the flowers automatically, his mind reeling. Behind the ambassador, he could see a massive banner reading Earth's first interstellar contact. Festival Day 1, and hundreds of humans cheering and clapping for the first time in 2 centuries of conquest. Commander Vexguy began to wonder if he was in over his head. The game changer. The next 12 hours completely shattered every assumption Commander Vexguy had ever made about planetary conquest. Instead of surrender negotiations, he found himself attending what the humans called a welcome reception in Lunar Station's main plaza. Instead of military briefings, he was given tours of art galleries, science laboratories, and cultural centers. Instead of discussing terms of surrender, he was sampling foods from dozens of human cultures and listening to music that somehow made his 4 hearts beat in rhythm. Dr. Marcus Thompson, a tall human with graying hair and kind eyes, had been assigned as Vexguy's personal guide. As they walked through the station's recreational areas, Thompson explained human society with the patience of someone genuinely excited to share knowledge. "The key to understanding humanity," Thompson said as they paused before a massive display showing Earth from space, "is that we've always been explorers and problem solvers. When we encountered obstacles, we didn't just overcome them, we turned them into opportunities." "What do you mean?" Vexguy asked, finding himself genuinely curious despite his military training telling him to focus on strategic assessments. Thompson led him to another display showing human history. "Take our early space program. We didn't have advanced materials. or powerful engines like your ships do. So we got creative. We used chemical rockets, which were inefficient and dangerous, but we made them work through ingenuity, teamwork, and sheer determination. The display showed humans building massive rockets, launching them into space, and eventually reaching their moon. Our first moon landing was accomplished with computers less powerful than the devices our children carry in their pockets today. But we didn't let technological limitations stop us. We found a way. Vexguy studied the images with growing amazement. The humans had achieved spaceflight with what his people would consider primitive tools. Why show me this? Because, Commander, we've been preparing for this moment for over a century. Not for conquest or war, but for contact. We knew that someday someone like you would come to Earth, and we wanted to be ready to welcome them properly. Thompson led him to another section of the display showing more recent human achievements. Space stations, colonies on other worlds, advanced technologies that Vexguy realized were far more sophisticated than his initial scans had indicated. We've been watching the stars, listening for signals, and developing our capabilities, not to fight, but to communicate, not to conquer, but to contribute. We've always believed that when we met another intelligent species, it would be the beginning of something amazing for both of us. They entered a massive auditorium where hundreds of humans were gathered. On the stage, representatives from different human cultures were presenting their art, music, and traditions. Vexguy watched in fascination as musicians from something called Africa played rhythmic drums that seemed to speak directly to his soul. Artists from Asia demonstrated painting techniques that created images with just a few perfect brushstrokes. Dancers from South America moved in patterns that told stories without words. This is what humanity offers, Thompson said quietly. Not just our technology or our resources, but our creativity, our diversity, our different ways of seeing and understanding the universe. Ambassador Rodriguez joined them in the auditorium, her energy as infectious as ever. Commander, I hope you're enjoying the presentations. We have over 200 different human cultures represented here today, each with their own unique contributions to our species. 200 cultures, Vexguy asked. How do you manage so many different groups on one world? With difficulty sometimes, Rodriguez laughed, but also with tremendous reward. Our diversity is our strength. When we face a problem, we have 200 different ways of looking at it. When we need a solution, we have thousands of different perspectives to draw from. She led them to a quiet area overlooking the stage. Commander, can I ask you something? In your conquest of other worlds, what happens to the local cultures? Vexguy considered the question. They are integrated into the Dominion. They learn our ways, adopt our systems, contribute their resources to our empire. But what happens to their own ways? Their art, their music, their unique perspectives. Those are ... less important than efficiency and unity. Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. I understand the logic. Unity can be powerful. But consider this. What if instead of replacing those unique perspectives with uniformity, you could combine them? What if you could have both unity and diversity? Before Vexguy could respond, Dr. Thompson spoke up. Commander, we'd like to show you something that might interest you from a military perspective. They moved to a strategic planning center where several humans were working with holographic displays, showing complex scenarios. These are our conflict resolution specialists, Thompson explained. Over the past century, humanity faced the possibility of destroying ourselves through warfare. nuclear weapons, biological agents, environmental destruction. We came very close to extinction several times. The displays showed various human conflicts and their resolutions. But instead of destroying ourselves, we learned. We developed new approaches to conflict resolution, resource management, and cooperative problem solving. One of the specialists, a woman named Dr. Sarah Kim, approached them. "Commander, we've been analyzing the structure of your dominion based on the information you've shared. You mentioned that you've conquered 89 worlds, but you're experiencing increasing resistance from member species." Vexkai tensed. This was beginning to sound like intelligence gathering. Dr. Kim continued, seemingly unaware of his discomfort. "We've seen this pattern before in our own history. Empires built through conquest often face increasing rebellion as they grow larger. The administrative costs rise, the military requirements increase, and subject populations become more resentful. Over time, what is your point?" Vexkai asked carefully. "We think we might be able to help," Dr. Kim said simply. "Human history includes the rise and fall of many empires, but it also includes the development of alternative systems, confederations, alliances, cooperative federations, systems based on mutual benefit rather than conquest." Thompson pulled up another display showing human governmental evolution. "Commander, what if I told you there was a way to achieve everything? The Dominion wants resources, cooperation, technological advancement, security, without the costs and problems of constant conquest. I would say you are naive about the nature of power." "Maybe," Thompson smiled. "But consider this. Earth has 8 billion humans, representing hundreds of different governments, cultures, and belief systems. We manage this not through conquest, but through cooperation. Our global institutions aren't perfect, but they work because every member has a voice and a stake in the outcomes." Ambassador Rodriguez leaned forward. "Commander, what if the Dominion could grow not through conquest, but through invitation? What if species chose to join because of what they gained, rather than what they feared to lose?" Dr. Kim activated another display. "We've run preliminary models based on what you've told us about Dominion structure. If you converted from a conquest-based empire to a cooperation-based confederation, you could reduce military costs by 60%, increase resource efficiency by 40%, and eliminate the rebellions that are draining your resources." Vexkai stared at the data, his military mind automatically analyzing the projections. The numbers were compelling, but the assumptions seemed impossible. "You were suggesting that species would voluntarily join a galactic government. Why not?" Rodriguez asked. "If membership offered real benefits, economic opportunity, technological sharing, cultural exchange, security cooperation, without the loss of local autonomy and identity, why wouldn't they want to join? Because it has never been done before. Neither had spaceflight until we did it," Thompson said with a grin. "Neither had global cooperation until we achieved it. Neither had interstellar contact until today." Dr. Kim pulled up one final display. "Commander, we'd like to make you an offer, not a surrender, but a partnership proposal. Earth would like to become the first voluntary member of a reformed dominion, or whatever you'd like to call a cooperative galactic confederation." Vexkai's mandibles clicked in surprise. "You want to join the Dominion?" "We want to help you build something better than the Dominion," Rodriguez corrected. "Something that represents the best of all member species, rather than just the dominance of one. Earth brings unique capabilities to this partnership. Advanced conflict resolution techniques, resource management innovations, cultural integration experience, and most importantly, proof that cooperation works. Thompson stepped closer. Commander, you came here expecting to conquer your 90th world. What if instead you could return to your leadership with something far more valuable? A model for sustainable galactic civilization that eliminates the costs of conquest and creates genuine prosperity for all members. Vexkai felt something he hadn't experienced in decades, uncertainty mixed with hope. And if the Dominion leadership rejects this proposal, then you still have your conquest option, Rodriguez said cheerfully. But Commander, you've seen what humanity is capable of when we put our minds to solving problems. What do you have to lose by letting us try? As if to emphasize her point, the auditorium erupted in music as all 200 human cultures began performing together, creating a symphony of diversity that somehow achieved perfect harmony for the first time in his 2-century military career. Commander, Vexkai began to think that maybe, just maybe, there was a better way to build a galactic empire. And perhaps these strange, optimistic humans were exactly the partners the Dominion needed to find it. The conquest of Earth had become something unprecedented, an invitation to reimagine the galaxy itself. And despite every instinct in his military training, Vexkai found himself eager to accept.